Welcome back to Movies Are So Back, the YouTube movie review channel where I, Ethan Simmie, ask the question, are movies so back? Oh, the MCU. Oh, the MCU. What do we do? What do we do with you? Because, frankly, I don't know anymore. I'm out, and then I'm in. And then I'm out, and then I'm back in. And I just am confused. I'm confused. And so I feel like today's question of are movies so back is probably the most important time that I have ever asked this question, because Thunderbolts is here. Marvel has given it to us just a couple of months before we are slated to get Fantastic Four First Steps. And Thunderbolts is good. Thunderbolts is good. And I don't know what to make of it. Thunderbolts is the final film in Phase 5 of the Marvel Universe, a universe in which I used to have great adoration and affection, and I still think Endgame is a 5-star masterpiece of a film. I still think it has the very, very special thing that makes Marvel so very good. I didn't know that we were on to Phase 5 with Thunderbolts, so needless to say, I've been a little bit removed from the universe because the 5 movies prior to Thunderbolts, what is the nicest way to put this? Have been poor. Have been very, very quite poor. Maybe with the exception of one that I actually have not revisited since I've seen it in theaters, Guardians Volume 3, which I'm a little bit colder on than most people. So Phase 5 as a whole has been a massive disappointment for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Thunderbolts is the final movie in this phase, again, before we get to Fantastic Four and Doomsday and Secret Wars and all of these really big things that are supposed to be coming that, frankly, I'm not very excited for. But Thunderbolts is the exception. Thunderbolts is the exception because it was a good movie. It was a good movie, and it's actually so good that I have not stopped thinking about it. I haven't stopped listening to the score for this film, and there are a lot of resonating parts of this movie that make it one of the better MCU movies, at least as of late, if not of all time, throughout the 36 films I think we're at now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Couple reasons why I like it so much. Number one, while not entirely removed in every single function and facet, it is significantly removed from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, Val buys Avengers Tower and makes it the Watchtower, and there are things to know about Bucky's backstory, or John Walker's backstory, or Yelena's backstory that are beneficial to Thunderbolts. But the thing that this movie does very well, that the writers and directors of Beef worked on very well for this movie, and the A24-ness of this movie is a whole different conversation that I find riveting and fascinating and actually quite effective for this film. But the writers of this movie didn't do what Marvel generally does. They didn't do what Captain America Brave New World did. They didn't do what the Marvels did to a lesser extent, I guess. They didn't do an expository dump, an exposition overlay of exactly everything you need to know to understand this movie. They said, here's what it is. All of these characters have trauma. They are all misfits. They are all anti-heroes. They are all vigilantes. They are all whatever you want to call them, and they all have trauma. And we'll give you a little hints as to what that is. Bucky says, yeah, I've had a totally normal, completely life, very sarcastically. That works. John Walker looking at his phone, looking at the fall of someone who was supposed to be the next great Captain America, while his wife is angry at him for not watching his child, and while he is despondent and sad. Other than that, we don't go into these things. And I think that is what Thunderbolts does so remarkably effectively, is that it says, we're not going to shove all of this backstory in your face. We're going to let you be interested in it if you want to. And if you are interested in it, you've probably already seen these other projects like Black Widow and Captain America, and all of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and other TV shows and projects. But it's not imperative to know for this movie. And I just think that's really smart. And I just wish Marvel did that more often. Reason number 2, this movie is really practical. This movie is really practical. Yes, there are green screens and blue screens that are very obvious and noticeable, and there are obviously CGI effects thrown throughout the entirety of this movie. Of course, the Void and the way that he kind of gets rid of people is a very cool CGI effect that I thought looked really, really good. But this movie, on a large scale, is practical. It is taking place in real places, on a mountain, in a street, in the desert, with punching and kicking and hitting and talking to people. And I know that sounds so silly. And I know that that is literally what a movie is. I just described what a film is, but Marvel has strayed from that reality. They have strayed towards the abusive, harsh light of CGI and the volume and green screen and blue screen for every single thing, even human interaction. So to get a movie that is like here. It exists. It is like actually feelable is a fantastic thing. It feels so good and so different and so grounded. Reason number 3, this movie is actually about important themes like failed fatherhood, loneliness, trauma, childhood trauma, adult trauma, failed relationships, failed expectations. It is about things that matter in the real world that are pretty, like, frankly, depressing things to explore and to investigate. But good movies do that. They want to say something about things that are important, about things that carry weight. And Thunderbolts wants to do that. They do that with Yelena. They do that with Red Guardian, a character that I actually find quite insufferable in this film for what it's worth. It is not a perfect Marvel movie by any means or strokes of the imagination, but they do it in an effective manner. And they talk about things that are just real, and I appreciate that. Reason number 4, Sentry is a really cool villain. He is also a really cool hero. And I think that is a little kind of magic key that unlocks a magic lock that Marvel hasn't quite figured out yet or hasn't quite explored yet, because all of the villains up until now and all of the heroes up until now have been quite villainous or quite heroic. Thanos, villain. Ultron, villain. Loki, a little bit more in the middle, yes, admittedly, but heroes much more heroic. Iron Man, Captain America. Of course, we all have our moral quandaries with these characters that have been investigated over the course of 36 movies, but that is not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that Sentry can be both the very best of things and the very worst of things. When he is himself, he is a wonderful hero. When he is Sentry, he is the most powerful thing that can exist. When he is the Void, he is the most powerful dark aura that can ever exist. He takes over part of Manhattan and just poofs people away. And that is really scary. And that is really cool. I think the visual effects for this character looked really cool. I think the stakes in this movie regarding this character were real. And there's one specific moment that I wanted to call out when there is a girl that disappears. I was flabbergasted. I was shocked. I said, Marvel, you've done it. You've created stakes and you've created a meaningful moment, because an innocent little girl, I am a girl dad, so I feel for this child, is just gone. And I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. Like, I've been waiting for Marvel to actually put stakes to actions. I feel like Thunderbolts really does that. Reason number 5 that Thunderbolts works for me is because Florence Pugh. She is a movie star. She is a real movie star. Now, Thunderbolts is, of course, a B team, and it is noted in the credits of this movie that the world at large is very apprehensive, shall we say, about a B Avengers team coming in. Can they get the job done? Are they really the new Avengers? Because we live in a world with no Avengers, and how can we trust these anti-hero vigilantes that have now been posed to us as this new Avengers team? Florence Pugh leading that team, very smart, very effective, very good. She's great in this movie. She is given stuff to do. She has a very important exchange with Red Guardian, Alexei, her father, about how he wasn't there for her and how her childhood memories have haunted her every single day of her life. And I teared up. I gotta say, I gotta be honest. I teared up. I gasped in this movie. I teared up in this movie. I laughed slightly. I still have a big problem with Marvel doing their jokes, which Thunderbolts admittedly does a far less of, which is really good and makes Thunderbolts work. I liked Florence Pugh a lot in this movie. I'm really excited to see what she does next in this universe. And finally, reason number 6 why I like Thunderbolts, and this might come as a hot take, I don't know, let me know in the comments below what you think of this idea and this character and this storyline and this narrative. But I actually think Val, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this film, it's not her first time showing up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We kind of know what she is up to. She's a little bit nefarious. She is a kind of a senator that's put on trial here for nefarious activities, and she is trying to hide all of it, and she is trying to essentially kind of commandeer the power that surrounds the U.S. government and how they use heroes, very, The Boys-esque, if you will. I think her character is interesting. And I think it's one of the most interesting characters, especially when it comes to the final moments of this movie, when she does, in fact, have a press conference and reveal the Thunderbolts to be the new Avengers and to be this team that she is kind of putting her weight behind and saying, these are the heroes that will save you. And Yelena goes up to her and says, we own you now. That is interesting to me. The political prowess and the political kind of ins and outs and sticky situations that Val finds herself in trying to control heroes and villains and power, and how the world moves forward with these things is really, really, really interesting to me. And I really like it. And I feel like not a lot of people are talking about Val in this movie. Admittedly, she's not in it very much, but I actually think she's pretty good. And I think her character and her storyline and her narrative, especially moving forward, are what are going to be some of the most interesting aspects of the universe. But I know that ties back to my like personal adoration for a grounded nature that the Thunderbolts exhibits very well, that other shows try to tackle, and the shows that are most grounded I do enjoy the most. So I liked Val in this movie, and I'm curious what that political nature will be of her character going forward in the next movies. Thunderbolts has indeed cracked the top 10 of my Marvel ranking. I have actually, honestly, super duper honesty time, been wanting to see it again. I really want to know when it's coming to Disney Plus. I really want to know when I can buy it, because I actually want to revisit it. I actually like a lot of the themes. I think the movie looks good. It is practical. I think it does things well. And I want to revisit that and these characters, and especially the score that I really haven't stopped listening to at all. I've just been working to this score every single day since I've seen Thunderbolts. And it's getting a little worrisome, because I'm like, man, I want to buy a vinyl when it comes out. And that's how you know that a score is good, at least for myself. So Thunderbolts is good. There are definitely things that I don't like about it. I mentioned the Red Guardian humor, and the pacing feels a little chopped up in the second act. It feels like we're really stretching for things. The third act feels pretty good. There is a big Marvelification of the third act for sure, but it ends in a group hug, which I liked. It kind of saved that a little bit. So overall, Thunderbolts is good, but is Marvel back? Are movies back? That is a tough question to answer. I will answer the first question. Is Marvel back? I don't think so. And I know I'm being a little bit of a pessimist, and I know you're going to say that I am a grade A Marvel hater. I am not. I used to have a Marvel podcast. I love Marvel. I loved Marvel, past tense. I think Thunderbolts is really a flash in the pan because of the creatives that they got to work on this movie, because of the kind of B squad of not only actors, but of heroes in this universe that they kind of got to work with and toy with and kind of mold a story out of. We're going to Fantastic Four first steps. We're going to Avengers Doomsday. We're going to Secret Wars. We're going to really big projects that are supposed to be really, really big for the MCU. And when those big projects transpire, and when things are supposed to be really big for the universe and move things forward a lot and introduce brand new characters like the Fantastic Four, they tend not to work. And it makes me really, really, really nervous. I still, fingers crossed, I'm still feeling okay about Fantastic Four. It looks pretty cool, but I'm genuinely worried that it's not going to be as good as Thunderbolts. And question number 2, are movies so back? I don't think so. Thunderbolts had a pretty soft opening. Unfortunately, it did underperform at the box office, contrary to what people were thinking with word of mouth. And I don't think the marketing and revealing the fact that it is the new Avengers and this kind of like spoiling your own movie by Marvel on social media, I'm not so sure that had the effect that they wanted it to have. I know they wanted it to push people to go see this movie that maybe didn't see this movie, that are then intrigued by the new title. Who are these new Avengers? Why should I care? And I just don't think that it did that. So no, movies are not back, but I feel good about movies in theaters because Thunderbolts is pretty good, and Mission Impossible is coming at the end of the month, and then we're actually going to be starting to get good movies. So hopefully that question will be easier to answer moving forward. What did you think of Thunderbolts? Drop a comment below and let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you hope to see more of in the future for Marvel or Thunderbolts or any of these characters. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so you are notified every single time that I do upload a new video. You can also find all of my movie musings over on Letterboxd, and I will see you in the next video.